as we bring in our guy from Halas Hall on his Thursday Halas Hall visit. The locker room just gets so much better when Hoge is there to talk to the Bears, and now he's talking to us. Adam Hoge joining his own show on CHGO Bears. Hoger, good to see you, buddy.
What's going on, guys?
We are, it's a spirited day here. We're spraying to all fields, but let's get out to you and I don't know. Start with the highlights so far that you've gotten today. As far as we got Shane Waldron, we got Richard Hightower. What are some of your takeaways from what you've seen today, Hoge? What you've heard?
Yeah, I spent most of the time so far in the locker room because they got a little bit of an overlap going on here this year. So it's a little bit of a new setup that we're dealing with. So Nick's been in the press conferences. I do know we've got some clarity on the returner situation. I know that Richard Hightower, I believe he said, right, that DeAndre Carter's going to be the returner. So the punt returner, we should say. And I don't think that's any surprise. I think by him making the team, you kind of knew that was going to be the case. Otherwise, I think on the kick return side, you're going to see what we kind of already know, and that's Velus Jones and Khalil Herbert be the main kick returners. I think behind that, you'll probably see DeAndre Carter, Tyler Scott, maybe get some looks there if needed. And then on the punt return side, I think the question is, with what was left on the roster, I mean, I think Carter's the guy, but as much as Braggs doesn't want to hear this, it wouldn't shock me if something happened to him that Rome Odunze ended up getting, the nod. Otherwise, you have Josh Blackwell too. So I think those are really the options left on the roster after you got to final cutdowns.
Right now? Yeah, I mean, I think that would be extremely risky. I've made that very clear on here. If you're not going to give Rome Odunze reps in the preseason to practice that with live bullets, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'd probably push back with you a little bit on that, Og, and say that Josh Blackwell would be the first person to get that look before Rome Odunze, because I did think when he was given that opportunity in the preseason, I thought he looked pretty smooth at it. Looked like, a good fit, natural fit at returning punts. So we'll just have to wait and see. But none of that gives me great optimism. It's a punt returner's problem every year, it feels like.
Yeah. Hoger, did you feel a mood? Did you feel an excitement? Did you feel an anticipation? I know it's these things are pretty subjective here, but
Yeah, no, I'll give you a little bit of a scene setter though from the locker room. I mean, couldn't help but notice the quarterback, Caleb Williams, just sort of chilling on the floor, sort of leaning up against his locker, eating some fruit and some healthy food, for his lunch ahead of practice. The way they have this set up is these guys are about to go out to practice here in about 30 minutes, and usually they head out there on the field a little bit early. So, Caleb looked very calm. He was hanging out with your guy, Tyson Bagent, and Cole Kmet. The three of those guys' lockers are all next to each other this year, and, very casual, just normal, everyday conversations, not like stressing out about anything at this point in the week. And I think that's, I don't think it means anything. I think just trying to set the scene for you and what I saw in the time I was in the locker room and sort of what that vibe was. It was a mostly empty locker room, which is not, that's kind of usually the case when the media is in there. But, those guys were in there and, slowly getting ready for practice, which will get underway in about 33 minutes from now.
So this might be a stupid question, but you've got my interest now when you talked about the locker room layout. So I'm going to ask the stupid question anyway. Is the locker room layout at Halas Hall the same then what they have at Soldier Field?
That's a good question. I haven't been in the Soldier Field locker room in 2.5 years. I think I don't know if it's exactly the same. I mean, typically they were in the past sort of grouped together by position on game day, even if they weren't in their permanent lockers back at Halas Hall. Remember, when they go to Soldier Field, they're only in there 10 times a year. And it's definitely more of like a temporary locker room situation rather than here at Halas, this is their home. That's where they work every single day. And it's not a dumb question, though, from the standpoint of how the lockers are put together. Different coaches do it different ways. Some coaches they think it's better to mix guys up because they're always with their position groups anyway. Right. So, hey, maybe you should go hang out. If you're an old lineman, you should go hang out with the defensive backs. I've never been a big fan of that. I think like it's important to be with the guys that you're usually going to be playing next to and continue to, that's the most important chemistry. And from what I could tell, being in there for the first time today, that is how it's set up. Like all the D linemen were over here, you had your linebackers over here, DBs over here, and that's how it was last year too. And then over on the other half of the locker room, you got your offensive linemen here, wide receivers over here, quarterbacks, tight ends, and that pretty much covers it. So yeah, that's pretty much how they have it set up this year at Halas Hall.
So did Caleb take Justin's locker?
Yes, I believe it's the exact same. If not, it's like right next to it. But yeah, I think it's the same one. It's in that same spot.
And Mooney had the premium spot. He was in the far corner, like right as you like go into the private area. Who took the Mooney spot?
Ooh, good question. I did not catch that. DJ's in that same the other corner that's got a little extra space, and Roma Dunze's right next to him. That's a good question, though. I'll have to check that. Well, I mean, you can check it tomorrow. You're going to be here. But, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was a nice little prime spot to sneak in and sneak out whenever you needed to.
He had a good spot, and Justin Jones on the opposite corner had a great spot, too. Yep. So, that's the spots that I would get if I was a Bears player because,
I mean, look, I when they redid Halas Hall, I couldn't help but notice the amount of exit points that were installed. There used to just be like one door in and out, one that went to the weight room, one that went to the showers, and one exit. So yeah, it's they got multiple connections now to get in and out of there.
Go ahead, Gregory.
So Hoge, I know you talked to Richard Hightower spoke to the media today. Yeah. I don't know if you had a chance. Tom Pelissero put out the tweet yesterday about some of the tweaks to the kick return game. Were you able to look at those tweaks, and did you have any thoughts on those yet?
No, to be honest with you, I have not had a chance to get into that yet. My understanding, though, is that they are all minor. I think it was I can
read them off. I can read them off for you real quick.
Yeah, please do. But real quick, I will say, like, I do think some of the discussions did get all the way to the point of like, do they adjust the touchback point, like where the ball would come out to the 35 instead of the 30, which was the original rule proposal back in March. And I just think that it would have been maybe too drastic of a change to make right before the season started. I would bet a lot of money that ends up happening this coming spring. But yeah, go ahead and read off what these changes are.
Yeah, so he said the NFL sent a memo to clubs tweaking minor aspects of the new dynamic kickoff rule, sources say, but no substantive changes are expected before or during the 2024 season that kicks off here tonight. But the tweaks do include ball must be kicked off tee except on a declared onside kick, and teams can elect to tack on penalty yardage for certain fouls to the end of a play rather than re-kicking. There's also an alignment matter that was clarified. The play will still look the same, though, overall. So those were the three notes that Pelissero shared last night.
Yeah, so the first one, probably just a little bit of an oversight whenever you're making a rule like this. Teams are immediately going to find loopholes, and one of those could have been if you're going to try to do some type of funky kick, you might just not use a tee at all. So I'm guessing that's where that came from. The second one is interesting to me because we went through that with the penalties in the Hall of Fame game where we thought it was a little weird that a couple could not be just tacked on to the end of the kick instead of having a re-kick. And so I'm guessing that might be where that's going to get applied. I'll look into this a little bit more tonight. And then, yeah, the third one with the alignment, I don't know that necessarily matters at all, but I'm not surprised. They've been doing Zoom call. I know for a fact that these coaches have been on these Zoom calls. Special teams coordinators have been on the Zoom calls. They've been periodically happening throughout the preseason as they continue to try to figure out what is the best. They just want to perfect this rule as much as possible going into what we'll see for the first time tonight. in this Chiefs-Ravens game, the real actual first time it is implemented.
So Ravens Chiefs tonight. We're having our diehard happy hour hangout at 8 o'clock tonight. Hoger, are you going to be on at 8 tonight, or are you doing Hoagland stuff?
Hoagland is booked. Family dinner. That is, it's a mandatory. It's a mandatory situation. From upper management. And at this exact moment, I do not know when said dinner is starting and ending, and I'm scared to ask questions. So that's a to be determined situation for when I can exit Hoagland and enter Carm's happy hour land.
Okay, there is no pressure. We definitely will see you at the tailgate on Sunday, around about 8 o'clock. You'll be there 8 to 9:30 as you promised.
7 a.m.
On this very show. You'll be there at 7, maybe 6. Oh, he'll be there at 7. Okay. I thought he said 8.
No, I won't.
Yeah.
8's questionable.
Before you go.
I know myself.
Before you go, did we miss anything today? Anything that you need to get out there from today's locker room Bears experience?
No, just that, looking around the locker room, even guys that are on this injury report, I saw Ryan Bates in there. He looked like he was gearing up to practice. And I know he was limited yesterday. Montez Sweat, I still don't know if that press conference has happened upstairs, but he's supposed to be meeting with the media, and I know he was getting some treatment. So, but that is not, none of these things are really all that concerning to me looking at that injury report. We've known Montez Sweat's been dealing with this for a while. I find that the more and more I looked at this matchup between the offense and the defensive line, the Titans O-line versus the Bears D-line, what's so interesting about it is that the Titans' strength is on the left side, which is the Bears going up against the weak side of the Bears' offensive line. And then I think they got a hole at right tackle the more I look at it. Like Nicholas Petit-Frere is not an upper echelon tackle in this league. And assuming Sweat's healthy and that this toe thing he's dealing with is not going to limit him, that should be an area that if I'm the Titans, I'm really worried about extra tight ends over there, extra running back chipping. They're going to have to come up with a solution. And I think, that just brings us back to the storyline we've been talking about a lot this entire offseason, which is, I feel like the door is going to be open for Javon Dexter. If you got Sweat taking double teams, you got Andrew Billings, who's just ginormous and is going to be taking up a couple guys. That 3 technique needs to get pressure, needs to get upfield. And I think that, we're going to find out real quickly. We did our breakout candidates yesterday. Javon Dexter was one we kind of overlooked, I think. But this is the type of possible breakout game for him too, because I think the opportunity is going to be there.
All right. I like it. Maybe a huge game. Let's go, Montez. Last one, Adam Hoge. Who at 1:07 on September the 5th, ahead of an amazing pregame show on Sunday and the Bears kicking off and kicking the Titans' ass on Sunday at noon, who will be the NFC champion? That's my one season preview that I need from you today.
Wow. Put me on the spot because I haven't made full-on predictions.
Packer, 49er, Eagle, Ram, Cowboy, Bear.
Are you going to name him the whole NFC?
Well, I think so. I'm giving him some time to think.
Yeah, thanks. You don't. Yeah. It's just really. I think. Man, I don't want to just go chalk here, but it really seems to me like it's going to come back down to the 49ers and Lions. And I really do like what the Lions have done to shore up some of the holes that were so quick last year. Sorry, Carm. I'm not answering it right now. There's too much at stake here. I will come out. I will answer that question on the pregame show. So tune in.
All right. I do want to follow up.
I mean, the season starts today. So, you're late.
What exactly?
2 games before Sunday. So that's cheating. Yeah. And then you're going to have a look at 4 teams before you make your predictions.
These 4 teams, 2 of those teams don't play in the NFC, so that has nothing to do with
it's still cheating.
what we're talking about here.
I need your full
and the Packers, I can tell you for sure the Packers and Eagles will not be my pick no matter what.
All right.
You don't know that. You don't know that. I mean, Jordan Love could throw 7 touchdowns on Friday.
I do think the Packers win tomorrow night, though. I'll tell you that. I think the Packers. I don't like the vibes in Philly. I don't like what's going on with Nick Sirianni. I think losing Kelsey at center. We talked about that with Baldy yesterday. I think that's just maybe the biggest loss that any team had this entire offseason. Like, seriously. Well, I take that back because the Rams lost Aaron Donald. So the second biggest loss that any team had, in the NFL this year was right there. And so I think the Packers. What a weird game, though. Both teams are flying like over 12 hours to get down there. It's the stadium. I saw Zach Berman, our guy at PHLY's down there. He's covering the game. So part of our ALLCITY family, people should be checking out Zach Berman at ZBerm. He tweeted a photo of the stadium, and I'm like, that doesn't look like an NFL stadium. I mean, so I don't know. It's cool to watch on TV. We'll be watching. Actually, I won't be watching because Carmel plays Lake Forest, but we'll be catching the highlights, and it should be fun. Both of these, I'm just glad we got 2 games to start Thursday, Friday. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, Northwestern and Duke, that's got to take precedent over the Packers. There's just no doubt about it. Go Cats. Yeah, that's
another one. No, I'm with you, man. Like these Friday, everyone's trying to play on Friday now. I got to say in general, I don't love the NFL. I like it for 1 week, and I like it on Black Friday. That's fine. But if they start trying to play Friday games every week, it sucks. A little much.
It sucks. Stop playing on Friday. U2 college football. I know it's not stopping. I know we're going to have games on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Christmas and Thanksgiving and Greg Bragg's knee brace day, if possible. So I know we're going to squeeze every last bit of juice out of the NFL money tree because the billionaire needs another billion and the player needs another whatever. It just and the old little fan out there, just let's all pay for it because it's going to be on 100 networks. Okay, that's the end of my complaining. This NFL season is here. I'm super psyched. Hoge, have a great rest of your day, your rest of your practice. We'll see you Sunday at 8:01. You better not be late.
8:02. I'll see you then.
8:02. We all silly like the mayor.